13 Signs of False Love. The first thing, like the first page, the definition of the word false means something which is not true. Secondly, the meaning of the word love can be put across as having a like attitude towards something or someone. The phrase signs of false love stands for untrue indications of a like attitude of one towards another person. To explain it simply, signs of false love can be indications that one's love for another person is not true, meaning that it is not founded on sincerity and affection by dint of existence of entities, which disqualifies the kind of love from being categorized or classified as a true love. There are two other things which exist in this world, and they are love and hatred. Love is the opposite of hatred, while hatred is the opposite of love. Hatred on the basis of dictionary definition means a strong aversion or intense dislike. When one hates a person, one lacks amity with a person, and when one loves a person, then such a person lacks enmity with the person who he or she loves by dint of his or her having amity for the person that he or she loves. From the word love, another word that comes into mind is called like, and the word hatred from its definition means dislike. Therefore, as light and darkness will exist contrariwise with different features, such as having colors which don't match, which are white and black, love and hatred will be in obedience of obeying the same rule of being in a state of reverse, like an antonym. Where there is no love, there is hatred, and where there is hatred, there is no love. In addition to that, a person who loves another person is called a lover, whilst on the contrary, a person who hates another person is called a hater. In a relationship, there can be two parties or a group of individuals who are together with another group of individuals, and there must be presence of either the entity called love being present among them or hatred being present among them. Then again, another circumstance which can be to your great amazement is that in a relationship between two or more individuals, love can exist but be in secret form. This kind of love is called secret love. Therefore, one can be in a relationship where his or her partner does not show openly and outwardly that he or she loves him or her, but such a partner can just be pretending not to love him or her in order to conceal the feeling of love with a requirement to keep it secret. To this end, this is a hidden love, which is also called a hidden passion, by dint of one of the partner hiding the feeling of affection for the person he or she loves. There is a statement from Lessons in Life Application Program which states that, be careful who you tell your feelings to, cause some people are waiting for the opportunity to use them against you. Then again, the person who you may think love you by dint of him or her doing for you some actions which symbolizes that he or she loves you may not in reality love you genuinely. Also, a person may decide to perform some actions which show that he or she isn't interested in you, but in reality he or she loves you. For these two reasons, it is genuine, like what is sincere, to state that it is possible to keep love and hatred as a secret, an action that may lead to observers making erroneous judgments because they may not know what is in the heart of a person. This fact, which is not a fiction, stays in concordance with the Lessons in Life statement, which states that the only normal people that you may know are the people you really don't know very well. There are reasons why some people hide the feeling of love from the person who they truly love, and the following are some of the reasons acting as stances for some individuals keeping the feeling of love to be as secret as a hidden passion. 1. A person can hide his or her feeling of affection for another person because he or she is shy to express him or herself openly. 2. A person can hide his or her feeling of affection from another person because of lacking courage to open up and propose his or her true feelings for the person he or she loves. 3. A person can hide his or her feeling of affection for another person because of the fear of performing parapraxis. On the basis of the dictionary definition, parapraxis is a mistake, such as a slip of the tongue, that reveals a concealed thought or motive. Parapraxis is also called Freudian slip, whose meaning in line with the dictionary definition is a mistake in speech or action in which a person supposedly shows their true subconscious desires. Many lovers fear performing parapraxis or Freudian slip because they are afraid of the negative reactions that can be done by the people who they love following and courageously expressing themselves openly. This takes us to the fourth reason why many lovers fear expressing themselves, which is the fact that some of those who they love and would like to stay with as romantic partners, if not friends, may give utterances which disappoint them, in addition to bringing them shame and disgrace among other negative consequences that can follow. For example, a person, upon expressing his or her genuine feelings of affection, the other person who he or she loves may say that he or she is already engaged in another romantic relationship, which can be one and only where he or she never in a million years would like to break free from. This reality, which has a disappointing actuality, may cause the person who expressed his or her feelings to feel ashamed and disappointed at the same time, following him or her practically earlier on or there and then performing parapraxis. Further to that, what can impel and propel the person who have a feeling of love to a point of developing feelings of dejection and rejection is the action of the person who he or she loves expressing that he or she wants their association to remain on a friend zone and at no time surpass the zone of friendship. Moreover, the fifth reason why many lovers do hide their feelings of love and expression of love is due to the fear of experiencing dejection and being cut off from associating with the person who he or she loves. In this world it is sincere, like what is genuine, to reveal a revelation that following the person who you love terminating any form of association with you due to you performing an action that can be viewed as a mistake of openly revealing by utterly expressing your love, you can develop a feeling of shame and disgrace in conjunction with viewing your expression as a mistake which you ought not to have made. By bad luck, if the person who has terminated associating with you is a non-confidential person, the news of your expression can travel too far to the extent of being informed by such a person to almost all of your associates. This will be in concordance with the proverb that states that ill news spreads apace. Therefore, within a short time span, the scenario that can transpire like a sweat which one inspired to perspire is your personality being brought into disrepute due to the smear campaigns that will be ongoing, a phenomenon which will come to a close after tarnishing of your reputation, leading to your disreputation when it has taken effect of driving you to a dangerous endpoint. For this reason, some of your associates can begin dishonoring you, and upon you finding out the damages that have been caused, you will begin to suffer the unimaginable weight and gravity of reputational damage, which will affect you socially, economically, culturally, politically and academically, plus awarding you not a present or a good prize but a reward of developing an avoidant personality disorder. From these experiences where aspersion has been casted upon you, You will not be comfortable to be seen by your associates, but you will strive very hard to always get away from their presence and hide very far from their reach due to fearing what they could say about you. For these reasons, many lovers to keep their love secret so that they don't experience the disappointment and negative consequences of expressing themselves to people who perhaps may not be having a feeling of romantic love for them. And another circumstance which can make you marvel is that in a relationship between two or more individuals, hatred may be present and one of the two partners in a relationship can conceal it with false love with the aim of not wanting the person who is hated to travel to arrive to a point of realization that he or she is disliked. Besides that, what is important now is showing the 13 signs of false love. The first sign of false love is the act of your partner never giving you his or her time, attention and concentration. Failing to do this once isn't a mistake because there are reasons that can make one not be in position and disposition of being available, and such reasons can be understandable. Another reason why one may not give his or her time, attention and concentration to a message or call is due to being busy performing business tasks which can make one be available later at a not expected time. The other reason why one may not give his or her time, attention and concentration may be confidential and only known by the person who doesn't establish contact at that time. The other reason why one may not give his or her time, attention and concentration is because one doesn't have a sincere love and affection for you but instead have the opposite, which is a genuine hatred and absence of feelings of love for you. When you are with such a person in your endeavors where rewards come after you perform what it takes to also benefit him or her, such a person can compliment you not because he or she loves you but because he or she wants you to toil and moil in bringing success that will also benefit him or her. Then you should also know that not everyone who compliments you loves you. When you meet such a fake lover out in the open or out in the streets, he or she can masquerade by expressing a fabricated facial expression of false joy and happiness just for you to believe that he or she loves you, but that is not the case. This is in harmony with the statement of the lessons in life which states that you never know when someone is faking a smile just to make you feel good. For example, you will wonder why he or she never attended to your calls and yet more than 2 weeks have passed without him or her replying to any form of your call. For this proof it is not in vain that the lessons in life statement about fake people states that some people are real. Some people are good. Some people are fake. And some people are real good at being fake. The second sign of false love is the act of your partner giving his or her attention and concentration to other people and ignoring you. Among the people who he or she gives his or her attention and concentration on, some of them will truly tell you directly or indirectly that he or she doesn't love you. The act of being ignored may be an indication that he or she has no affection for you. If you want to test this more, then you will be waiting for many weeks just to see whether you will be answered only to be starved of attention and concentration. Such starvation will pull and push your love for your partner far and away until you reach a point of extinguishing your passion for him or her and choosing a good alternative to move on and forget about your partner. Healing from such a state of rejection doesn't happen quickly for some individuals, but it can take more than 40 days to recover from being emotionally hurt due to being ignored like a plague. Therefore you will wait for the day that he or she will answer you, and never in a month of Sundays will your calls be answered. The third sign of false love is the act of your partner making promises and never fulfilling them. For example, he or she can promise to perform some tasks that will benefit you, but instead of fulfilling them, he or she keeps on postponing them, only to apologize on a repetitive basis every time he or she breaks his or her promises. For example, you may perform some sacrifices just to meet with him or her, only for your sacrifices to be in vain and your efforts to be taken for granted by dint of being acknowledged by your partner that he or she won't turn up to meet you. For example, your partner knew that you had to sacrifice some things you intended to perform with the need to travel long distances just to meet him or her, but instead of informing you earlier in advance that he or she won't be available for the meeting, he or she waits for you to sacrifice your important task of the day and waste your vehicle fuel in traveling to meet him or her, only to be informed by him or her during the last minute of your arrival that he or she won't turn up to meet you. Such an event is not only disappointing but also emotionally painful, since it is a sign that your partner values hurting you and subjecting you to a state of breakdown. Driving back home with a lot of stress and distress can be dangerous if the disappointing and hurting situation takes the better part of you to supersede the degree of attention and concentration of you, subjecting them to driving carefully on the road, and if matters blacken and darken to open another door of a disastrous event, road accidents can occur that can claim your life, including causing more casualties to other road users. Such a disaster that can take a person under the grave emerged just from the act of a promise not being fulfilled. The fourth sign of false love is the act of your partner secretly and indirectly giving an expression that he or she desires breaking up with you. This can happen when your partner chooses, like an alternative, to go on no contact period after you sending him or her a call which you wanted him or her to reply. He or she will keep you waiting, and you will discover that on social media he or she freely communicates with other people and posts information on his or her status, but when it comes to your calls, they get ignored day after day without being answered, a phenomenon that leaves you starved of responses. Your partner can do this with the aim of desiring to get away from you and end the relationship by calling it off for you to shift your attention and concentration not on him or her but elsewhere. The fifth sign of false love, but which can be connected to the fourth sign of false love, is the act of your partner quickly welcoming other romantic partners to be in possession of him or her after you breaking up with him or her, following your partner first performing actions that reveal that he or she wanted to walk away from you. Instead of inquiring from you why you had to break up and leave, he or she runs to other individuals to possess him or her as their romantic partner. This is a sign that he or she had no affection for you. The sixth sign of false love is the act of your partner loving you for only the benefit that he or she will obtain from you. Such partners some deceive professionals in the working class to pay for them their education costs, such as school fees, from the start of their meeting to the climax, and upon graduating and successfully being employed in order to start earning a living. It is such false lovers who betray those who they earlier promised to get married to. The outcomes of these events can be tragic, lossful and catastrophic. For this pretentious action, some individuals have sponsored the education of partners who they thought would be their romantic partners for their lifetime, only to be betrayed and rejected in the end. There is a proverb that states that every king needs a queen. However, it is in by and large circumstances gets very painful for a man to experience rejection after years of risking it for the biscuit by sponsoring the education of his lover, only to be betrayed and rejected in the end and come to an ultimate realization that you were just being used by your false lover as a resource used for deriving benefit from, only to be casted away when it is no longer needed for use, just like an eaten bread which then becomes forgotten. Recovering from this detriment may not happen quickly like a bolt out of the blue, because such a predicament normally leaves one drained physically and financially, in conjunction with realizing that his or her sacrifices, love, attention and concentration was in vain. The false lover who orchestrated betrayal don't care about the periods in which his or her support provider had to drink from the firehouse at workplace just to toil and moil in raising money for sponsoring his or her education. However, after such support providers undergoing working periods of sleeplessness and restlessness during working hours to work hard and smart in supporting those who they thought they could end up with as their future spouse, they came to a disappointing realization that they were not only deceived but also used for the selfish benefits of the fake lovers who dejected and rejected them in the end. The events that can transpire like a sweat which one inspire to perspire can be detrimental like a disastrous aftercome, since it can lead to one committing odious crimes that endangers the life of the false partner who used him or her, or such a person committing suicide when he or she becomes unable to bear the heartbreaking situation, which is like a hard pill to swallow. If such a person is to recover and let it go, recovery may take a long time due to the weight and gravity of such a predicament, which is detrimental to one's well-being. For this reason, it is advisable that false lovers take an admonition of shunning from making vain promises to the individuals who they choose to use for their selfish benefits, by dint of the final results having a likelihood of generating catastrophic after-effects. This is a sign that such partners use them just to obtain a rewarding benefit from them, but they truly never had true love and affection for the individuals who helped them. They repay their helpers negatively by forsaking them in the end, despite the golden assistance they received from them when they were in the periods of thick and thin. This stays in concordance with the proverb that states that no good deed ever goes unpunished. The seventh sign of false love is when a partner delights in intentionally hurting you emotionally, physically and also mentally. He or she doesn't sincerely love you, and yet when you meet he or she shows that he or she has an affection for you. The eighth sign of false love is the act of you being together with your partner on an endeavor, but you are the only one doing what it takes to keep the endeavor on, and the other party appears withdrawn from the activities. You struggle to find his or her attention and concentration to communicate effectively with the aim of keeping the endeavor progressing, but to know that yet earlier on he or she was perhaps the first person to approach you and suggested that you form a long or short-term endeavor in performing some tasks. This sign has two perceptions, one of which is the fact that your partner isn't interested in you by dint of not having love and affection for you, or it can mean that your partner wants to use you for his or her own selfish interest by just getting benefits from you and forsaking you in the end of all endeavors. This happens when your partner knows that you know how to successfully manage a one-way relationship where you are also starved of attention and concentration, and make the endeavors you pursue with the people not giving you attention to be successful. This scenario is what is called being used and abused at the same time in such a relationship, and it is a sign of false love. The ninth sign of false love is the act of your partner or those who you are in a relationship showing unwillingness to take responsibility. For example, in one season you can practically perform very tough and rough endeavors and by good luck bring to your team members the reward of success. In the next season, you will choose to lower your status with the aim of desiring to sit back, watch and observe the value that he or she or them can add to your life. You will wait only to come to as clear as crystal realization that he or she or them cannot perform your former tasks, and at no time will you obtain any additional value from them despite being a pace setter in the beginning. The 10th sign of false love is the act of your partner hanging out with others but turns off all physical meetings with you. If you turn off meeting with him or her, he or she will be expressing happiness and joy, but when you request for physical meetings with him or her, your request won't be accepted but will be rejected. The 11th sign of false love is the act of your partner breaking confidence and trust by revealing your secrets to others, including your enemies. This also happens when your partner is in the category of being one among the many friends of your enemies. He or she can masquerade to be your close associate with the aim of finding out your secrets and channeling them to your enemies, who during the day and at night work hard and smart towards bringing you down, slowing down your endeavors and working towards sabotaging your dreams and goals of life. Such partners can be like dangerous lovers who can make your life be terminated within a short time span, if not long, unless you discern their actions, end the relationship and make their plans fall beside the roadside forever and for good. The 12th sign of false love is the act of you secretly catching your partner in the act of truly expressing that he or she doesn't love you. This happens in conversations where your partner expresses to other people about he or she disliking being with you. Upon listening to the entire conversation, you will know that if in case he or she has been expressing acts of love when you were together, it was false like an illusion. The 13th sign of false love is the act of your partner never changing to like you despite many good things you do for him or her. For example, if earlier on you had trespassed against him or her, he or she will hold grudges and possess unforgiveness due to keeping records of wrong despite the great intensity of good acts that you perform to him or her. Over and above that, there are many other signs that can be expressed to serve as open and shut indicators that you are in a relationship of false love. Come what may, if you realize that you are in a relationship with a false lover, it is best to perform wise actions that are recommended in order to avert and evade suffering the negative consequences.